Hello students, in this video on electroanalytical technique of DC polarography, we will be studying the following topics: dropping mercury electrode, that is DME, which is the working electrode used in polarography, the terms which are involved in polarography, and the polarographic cell which is used for the measurements. Now, dropping mercury electrode is abbreviated as DME and it has three main components. The first one is a mercury reservoir, second one is a rubber tubing, and third one is a capillary. The first is mercury reservoir, which you can see here in the diagram. It is a glass reservoir which contains mercury, and to connect the electrode to the external circuit, here you can see a wire which is a platinum wire, sealed platinum wire is inserted into the container, and then it is connected to the external circuit. The second component is a rubber tubing which connects the mercury reservoir to the capillary, and the tubing is very flexible. With the help of this flexible rubber tubing, you can adjust the height of the mercury reservoir, and hence you can adjust the drop time of mercury drops. The third component is a capillary, which is a very fine bore capillary having an inner diameter of around 0.03 to 0.05 millimeter. At the tip of the capillary, a mercury drop is being formed and the electrochemical reaction takes place at the surface of this mercury drop. Coming to the advantages of why DME is so very important and why it is used in polarography as the working electrode. The first main advantage of using DME is that it has a very wide potential range in which it can be used. So here a potential of plus 0.4 to minus 2.0 volt is mentioned, which is the potential range in which DME can be used. Now this potential range is very wide and it will cover almost the reduction of all metal ions, and hence those metal ions can be determined. The second advantage is that the surface of DME is smooth, it is reproducible, and it is continuously renewed. It is continuously you get new drop each time. So every drop will be free from the contamination of the previous drop. And when we use solid electrodes, so what happens is after some time we need to clean the electrode so as to get accurate results. So here this problem will not arise, and every time you will get a new drop. The next advantage of using DME is that most of the metals they form amalgam on reduction. These metals can be determined. Another important advantage is that diffusion current is a parameter in polarography which helps in quantitative analysis, and this diffusion current which is obtained in polarography, it attains a steady value immediately as soon as you change your potential, and this value is reproducible. You can also determine a series of reducible species without actually separating the species. You will be able to determine two or more components in a mixture by using the technique of polarography, because here the electrode surface is continuously renewed, so you can determine a series of metal ions or series of reducible ions by polarography. Another important advantage of using DME is that there are certain metal ions which are difficult to reduce in aqueous solution. As in aqueous solution, the reduction of H plus ions to hydrogen gas will take place. But when you are using DME, because of the high overvoltage of hydrogen and mercury, even heavy metals like zinc and nickel, they can be easily determined by the technique of polarography. These were the advantages of using DME. Now, along with the advantages, it also has certain limitations. The first one is that when you're using DME as an anode, you cannot use it at more positive potentials. Mostly DME is used as a cathode only. If you're using it as an anode at more positive potentials, what happens is oxidation of mercury to mercurous ions take place, and therefore it cannot be used as an electrode. Second limitation is that only those metals which form amalgam with mercury, they can be determined. Now, although we know that most of the metals form amalgam, but there are certain exceptions to this. So those metals could not be determined by the technique of polarography. Now, third limitation is that since the surface is continuously renewed every time you get a new drop, so the drop area will go on changing. It will never be constant. The area will change. It will increase as the drop grows and decrease as the drop breaks. Another limitation of using DME is that we are dealing with mercury, so we need to handle it carefully as it is poisonous. And also in the experiment, we need to use a very pure form of mercury. Mercury itself is costly, and we used triple distilled mercury, so the cost increases further. These are certain limitations of using DME as the electrode. Now we will see certain important terms which are used in polarography. The first term is residual current. It is a non-Faraday current. Now this current is registered in the polarographic cell before deposition of the electroactive species starts. And this is represented by the portion AB in the curve in the polarogram, which is shown on the right hand side. Now the reason for residual current is formation of an electrical double layer near the surface of the dropping mercury electrode, that is DME. The second term is diffusion current, which is a type of Faraday current which is registered in the polarographic cell due to diffusion of electroactive species from the bulk of the solution to the electrode surface. Now, this diffusion current is very important because it helps in quantitative analysis in polarography. The portion BC, which is shown in the polarogram on the right hand side, is called as the diffusion current. The next term is limiting current, which is represented by the portion CD shown in the polarogram. Now, limiting current is the current which is registered in the polarographic cell after all the electroactive species has been reduced, and therefore the concentration of electroactive ions at the electrode surface becomes zero. The next term is a polarizable electrode. Now this term is used in polarography, and polarizable electrode is an electrode which can take up any potential which is being applied to it. The polarizable electrode which is used in polarography is dropping mercury electrode. Similarly, we also have another electrode used in polarography, that is non-polarizable electrode. This electrode has its own constant potential. It cannot take up any potential applied to it. It has its own constant potential like a saturated calomel electrode SCE, which is commonly used in polarography. The next term is drop time, which is the time that lapses between detachment of two successive drops. So what is the time gap between the detachment of two successive drops is called as the drop time. Now on the diagram which is being shown, a graph of current versus time is plotted and two drops are being shown. The life cycle of two drops is being shown in the graph. The same can be represented in the manner which is shown. The first is point A, at which only the electrode is there and there is no formation of any mercury drop. So current, if you see in the graph, it is 0 at point A. Then at point B, which is B in the diagram also, it is being shown at the tip of the electrode, or at the tip of the capillary of the electrode, a mercury drop starts forming, but the size of the mercury drop is not maximum, and that is represented by the point B in the graph. The third one is point C. At this point, you can see in the graph current is maximum, and because the drop size is maximum. So the current attains maximum value when the drop size is maximum. And once the drop size is maximum, the drop will now break and the current will come down to 0, that is point D. And on the right hand side, it is being shown at point D on the electrode surface, there is no drop, the drop has fallen down. So this is the life cycle of a drop, and this keeps on repeating. So that is why in the same manner, the same pattern is being observed for the second drop. Now in polarography, a special type of cell which is called as the H-type polarographic cell, because the cell represents the alphabet H, is being used. Now this cell was developed by Latanen and Lingane, and the cell has two arms which are connected or joined by a horizontal glass tube. You can see in one arm of the cell there is a capillary of DME. On the left hand side, you can see the capillary of DME is being inserted into the test solution or the sample solution. And there is also another arm, there is second electrode which is SCE, that is a saturated calomel electrode, which is dipped in saturated KCl. In the horizontal glass disc, you can see there is a sintered glass disc which is being shown at the center of the glass tube, which is used to provide internal contact between the two electrodes of the cell. So here we have two electrodes, one is DME and the other one is SCE. So internal contact between the two electrodes is being established with the help of the sintered glass disc. Then on the uh, arm which is having the capillary of DME dipped in the sample solution, there is a provision for bubbling nitrogen gas. Okay, so there is an inlet for nitrogen, and in the horizontal glass tube, agar gel is there, which is on the side of the reference compartment, that is the side on which you have the calomel electrode, and this agar gel should always be kept wet. It should not be allowed to dry, otherwise there will be development of cracks, and this may lead to bulk diffusion of ions from one compartment to the other. So this is a special type of H cell which is used in polarographic analysis.